Everybody. Hi, everybody. We are so excited to have you all join us today. We have an exceptional group of panelists here to tell you about their stories and to answer any questions that may come up. And we also have our own questions we'd love to ask them today. We want to start off, of course, introducing you to the event, which is ASU Women in Leadership, strong, passionate, confident. These are women who are representing us today. And we'll start off by introducing who we are as moderators for this event, and then we will introduce our panelists. So getting started, my name is Desiree Browning. I am one of the coordinator seniors at the First Year Success Center. I lead our team of VIP Suite Coaches, which is our sophomore coaching program. It is a team of 10 students, and it is represented across all 4 campuses and a variety of different majors. I myself have been with this department for a year and a half, but professionally I have been at ASU for a little over 3 years. But I'm also a double because I did graduate from here twice. So super excited to join you here today. And I am joined also moderating by the fabulous.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I am a lead coach here at the First Year Success Center. I've been here for almost 2 years. I am a coach for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I'm so excited to have you here all today.
Okay, so one thing we want to do, of course, with any event that we host here at Arizona State University, we want to acknowledge the land that we are on and making sure that that is important. And so Arizona State University's 4 campuses are located in the Salt River Valley on ancestral territories of Indigenous peoples, including the Acamel, Oraham, Pima, and Peepash Maricopa Indian communities, whose care and keeping of these lands allows us to be here today. The First Year Success Center is honored to serve Indigenous students in partnership with American Indian Student Support Services.
This March, ASU is celebrating Women's Her Story Month, and we're celebrating these amazing women in our Sun Devil community all month long. We're proud to host this event and highlight the journey of successful leaders here at ASU. To learn more at Women's Her Story Month at ASU, and for a complete listing of ASU Women Her Story Month events, visit sce.asu.edu. We invite you to use the hashtag #BadassWomen of ASU 2021 during today's event.
Now, of course, you've seen these marvelous folks represented on all of our outreach, but now we get the opportunity to introduce our panelists, the folks you have been waiting to hear from today. We are honored to bring together an esteemed panel of women in leadership at our university today, and we are excited to introduce these panelists. We have brought together women who are passionate, courageous, strong, and want to help motivate you. Dr. Cassandra Asta is the Deputy Vice President and Dean of Students at Arizona State University, Tempe campus. She provides leadership and strategic direction to support student success. Through collaborative efforts, Dean Asta fosters a comprehensive student life experience, advancing student involvement, responsibility, service, inclusion, and community. Dr. Asta also serves as the University Chair for the Community of Campus Inclusion, which works to promote diversity and inclusion at ASU. Cassandra has been a member of the Sun Devil family since 2001. Welcome, Dean Asta.
Sheryl Hyman is Vice Provost for Academic Alliances at ASU. She is leading academic partnerships between ASU and community college and other educational institutions, both locally and nationally, ensuring that students who wish to pursue an undergraduate degree have the resources and pathway to successfully transition to ASU. Welcome, Sheryl Hyman.
Veronica Gutierrez is the Senior Manager of Academic Programming and Student Success with the Public Service Academy at Arizona State University. In this role, Veronica creates curriculum and works with students in order to develop cross-sector leadership skills. Veronica further serves the university by overseeing 5 undergraduate research students through the Watts Undergraduate Research Program and serving on the School of Public Affairs Undergraduate Curriculum Committee, specifically helping to ensure curriculum promotes diversity, inclusion, and equity. Welcome, Veronica.
Jacqueline Palmer, aka my name twin, is a senior at Arizona State University studying digital marketing, political science, and business law. She is proud to represent the Tempe campus as student body president. She has and continues to push forward many initiatives that will better the ASU experience for all students. Welcome, Jacqueline Palmer.
And last but definitely not least, our very own Shalina Bianca Besam is a senior student at ASU Sidney Poitier New American Film School, pursuing the producing track in her film and media production major, along with a business minor. Apart from being a first-year success coach, she is also an executive board member for multiple film and APA student organizations on Tempe campus, including the Asian Pacific American Student Coalition, AAPASC, the Philippine American Student Association, PASA, Association of International Media, AIM, and Hollywood Invades Tempe, HIT. Welcome, Shalina. All right, so our planned questions come from our first-year success coaches, as well as questions submitted in advance by attendees online. We invite you to ask questions in our Q&A feature, and we will review them throughout today's panel. During our panel today, we invite you to utilize the chat feature to connect and respond. So starting off, we want to come off with a really solid question to get you folks excited, to get you engaged here. And so we want to ask our panelists, what kind of things do you engage in that work to cultivate inner joy?
I'll start. First, I just want to thank you all for, out of all the great women at ASU, and there are many, 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 for thinking of me. So I feel it to be a real honor, not just to have you select me, but to be here with my colleagues who are very strong and confident women who I've learned from in my short time being here at ASU. So I just want to start out by saying thank you to everybody. I think for me, inner joy comes from just self-improvement and self-awareness. I think every day I reflect back on the day before and think about at least one thing I can do better. Not trying to be a different me, but just being a better me. I think it's really hard for anyone to have inner joy if they don't truly know themselves and have self-awareness and self-joy and appreciate just the core of who they are. So I think a lot of people's inner joy is interrupted by trying to be somebody other than themselves. And so just seeking to be, have better self-awareness every day.
Mm-hmm.
Sheryl, I love that answer, and we're all nodding our heads, and I just want to concur. It is such a joy to actually be a part of this experience with these phenomenal women here, but also to support our first year success center here at the university and all that they are accomplishing and supporting students across the university. So kudos to you all, and thank you for taking the time to bring us together to have this conversation. I'm energized just being in this space with you all, just a lot of energy here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. For me, the inner joy, I love what Sheryl has shared, and I think that's so on point. I also think for me, it's extending myself grace. right? Not looking for other people to say it's okay or it's not okay. It's me, myself, extending myself grace. It's almost like when you're planning for that big party, nobody knows behind the scene what went well, what didn't go well. So how do I continue to extend grace to myself in order for me to maintain my joy as I continue to do my best and to try to do my best, knowing that progress is what's important, not perfection. I think the other thing I will share with you all is I have two up and coming Sun Devils. One is 13, one is 11, and love spending quality time with them. And we do that by taking day trips. They're not happy about that, but it's my inner joy. That was the question. So tag them along, and we go explore different places in Arizona. And the most recent one was going to the Boyce Thompson Arboretum in Superior, Arizona. And it was just a phenomenal time to be outside, be in nature. But being around people who you love and who you care about is also part of that inner joy for me.
Yeah, so I'd like to echo the comments from these two amazing women to express my excitement and honor at being here with everyone. And, in addition to finding inner joy in knowing that I'm putting out the best I can into the world, experiencing that happiness with others, much like Dr. Aska was saying, with my family, with my friends, who I consider family, with my students, knowing that I can put out as much as possible to help others also find their inner joy and their potential, and really just balancing what I do personally with what I do professionally, and ensuring that there's as much happiness involved as possible.
Yeah, I can echo all of those things. Those things all do give me joy. I think in more of a professional leadership standpoint, because of the pandemic, a lot of things have been stripped away that are simple joys, like going on conference trips, having that in-person relationship with people. So I've been able to actually discover a lot about myself and find joy in actively helping others. I think the pandemic has made me a lot more service and other focused, which I think is a great attribute to come out of the other side of this with. And it's also taught me a lot about what to put my energy towards when I'm worrying about things, what actually warrants me to worry about it, and what is just something that's going to happen either way. So I've been able to find my joy by refocusing my energy away from negativity.
And honestly, yes to everything everyone's already said. A lot of what my thoughts were just echoing what everyone was saying. I find my inner joy really in others, because I mean, me being in this job as a first year success coach is really gratifying, and I love being able to see my students that I have been able to talk with the past couple of years in this position, grow from being like freshmen and then finding themselves and finding their own like friends and finding their niche in campus, and being able to do that myself as an underclassman. It's been a privilege really to be able to do that and help others do the same thing.
Awesome. Thank you for such phenomenal answers to that first question. Like, clearly we see, everyone has their own definition of how you're able to get that inner joy. And I love that we've been able to touch on like finding it personally, but also experiencing that with others. Even in a pandemic, we're still making those connections.
Yes, thank you all. Just echoing the idea of both finding your inner joy both in yourselves and through each other. And it's definitely been a challenging year, as many of you mentioned. We're curious, what are some habits that you swear by that put you in a good place mentally, emotionally, physically?
I can start. One thing I actually took up this year, which I've never done anything like this, is I bought the 5-minute journal, which is something, it's 5 minutes for the whole day. You write what you're looking forward to in the day and things that you want to happen in the day. And then at night you reflect on it, and then you write what was good and then what you could have changed to make it better. This is actually just like a small thing that has made my mindset a lot better in life. I've also become a lot more physically active. I think that when you are physically active and treat your body good, good things happen in your life. And it just builds better habits overall because you're obviously creating one sort of routine, so the rest of your day will follow.
I agree with that. Like I've definitely started journaling also. And one of the things I've taken up again that I hadn't done in a few years was doing more artwork. I've been practicing that specifically with digital art recently. So it's been fun to sort of just like let my mind be more creative and, step away a little bit from school and work and everything and just express myself and sort of de-stress with that too.
I'll echo the staying active. So I just think for various reasons, it's important no matter, it's just important for people to stay active. I mean, my grandmother who lived to be almost 90 was extremely active for all of her life. So things like yoga and meditation, like I'm really, really big on those sorts of things, or just keeping myself active, even if I'm having a long day where I don't get to do my normal workout, just 10 or 5 minutes of stretching can make all the difference in the world. So that is important. But I think your question was about emotionally, mentally, and physically. And I don't think there's a magic bullet. I think there's several things you have to do to care for all those different aspects of who you are. And so for me, mentally and emotionally, I just try to literally every day practice the serenity prayer. Life becomes so much easier when you realize what you can and can't control. I have not always known that. So I have tried to control everything at some point in my life, but really having something grounded. I remain so very grounded in my faith. I have a strong support system of family and friends, but more importantly too, I guard my joy. Like I guard that. I try very hard. I mean, we've just been through, as everybody pointed out, a really tough year, which was tough for various reasons. But somehow, even in the toughest times, you have to find a way to hold on to some joy, or life can become quite difficult emotionally, mentally, and physically. So really guarding that is important to me.
Yeah, I would definitely add, agree with the keeping physically active. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I know I personally have not been able to stay as physically active as I would like to. So I do have a stand-up desk and I have a rule. I'm breaking it right now, but whenever I have meetings, I do them standing up. And then when I'm doing my own personal work, I do that sitting down. So that keeps me up as much as possible. And then I definitely allow myself to take breaks throughout the day and just walk around or play word games. That's kind of my way of decompressing. I love letters and words and alphabetizing, but I don't have that many things to alphabetize. So I play word games instead. And I think just for my mental and emotional health, I'm very honest with I have a great support system, like Dr. Hyman was saying, and I'm very open and honest with those people in my support system. And so when I need something, I know that I can reach out to them and get that. Whether it's, I need to have a very serious discussion about something that just happened that I saw on the news, or I need somebody to send me a meme because I need to laugh. So I think a big part of it is just understanding what I need and letting other people know that they play a role in helping me fulfill those needs.
I think the only thing I will add, because I will echo everything that everybody was sharing. I love journaling too, by the way, for my people who like to journal. I have had to allow myself to feel all of the emotions that existed throughout this season. And that has been more important than I realized, because it consumes you. It can consume you in ways in which can affect you mentally, can affect you physically, can affect you emotionally. So I challenged myself to name my emotion and to sit with that emotion so that I could be well. And then to work with wonderful friends. Again, I echo that support mechanism is really, really critical. And for you college students, I have a group of like 6 girlfriends from college that we are still tight. When they say you make friends in college for life, that was my real experience. And to be able to share that with them is absolutely important. So I'll just add that piece of saying, you know, it's real. Honor your emotions and respect them and deal with them so that you can continue to be well in all the other spaces.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I'm sitting here like, ooh, this is so good. Sheryl, I want to kind of go to one of the things that you said about guarding that inner joy and that happiness. And I feel like that's not something usually we discuss or something we hear really often. We're just like, go out there, seek it. But I was curious if you're able to elaborate on what guarding your inner joy looks like. And if anyone else has anything they can add on that too, like please take that space.
Yes, so I do encourage everyone to go out there, seek it. Like, it does not mean you don't do that. But my grandmother had a saying where she would always say, don't allow anything or anybody to steal your joy. And that has stuck with me. And now I just turned it into guard my joy. Look, so many things you all will learn as you're going along your journey, that you will have a lot of people who are opinionated, or you will be faced with another pandemic, or, you know, someone may not like what you're, give you the compliment, or you may not get the validation you thought you should get. You may have a bad relationship. None of that should steal your inner joy. You should always guard that so that you control your happiness. You control your joy, not any one thing, any person, none of that. Because the minute they steal that away or it's gone, you won't be able to just go out there and charge after what you want. You won't have the energy. It just saps everything out of you. So you have to understand that you control how you feel. Yes, other people can make you feel bad. Other things, you can have really bad experiences that make you feel really bad. But as Cass said, deal with that emotion, but don't let it totally steal your joy away. And so sometimes I think it's so very powerful what Cass said, is that we have to allow ourselves to deal with our emotion and recognize the emotion that we're having, but still know that that emotion will pass, or that emotion does not have to define what happens in the future. It's just one we have to deal with right now. And so I think all too often I've seen, and I certainly have had to work on this in my own life, where I've just let too many other things control how I feel about me and my future. And you just have to guard against that.
Fabulous answer. Thank you. We also wanted to take the time to ask too, because as we mentioned, we're in a pandemic, and not just one, multiple things are happening in society right now. And so we have maybe set goals in this last year, or goals before all of this happened, and maybe they didn't quite work out yet. Or maybe a piece of that didn't work out, which is fine. We're allowed to, you know, have our goals not always work out, and we're allowed to create new ones and move forward and adjust to those circumstances. With you as our panelists, how do you personally keep working on a goal you want to achieve, even when you fail at a part of it?
So another very wonderful woman in my life had this written across her bathroom. I saw this years ago and I still think about it all the time. And it said, what you focus on grows. And so I looked it up, and it's a quote from a very popular author, Robin Sharma. And the full quote, let me make sure I get it correct, reads, What you focus on grows, what you think about expands, what you dwell on becomes your destiny. And so when I do fail at something, I definitely don't ignore it. I reflect on it, and then I learn from it, regroup, and I move forward with that end goal in mind. Why am I trying to accomplish this? What is going to be the result of me accomplishing this goal? And is it worth the failure that I might have to work through and the time and effort that, that I'm putting into it? And chances are yes, because I established this goal for myself and I want to accomplish it. And so then I just focus on that end game and I let that grow and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to have that become my destiny and not dwell on what I did wrong.
You know, I'll build on what Veronica shared because I'm in total agreement with that. And for me, it becomes, and the key, I think, word that you shared in that question, Desiree, is even when you fail at a part of it. And I think that's for some people, that could be very, very difficult, that managing that word, understanding that word, what does that word mean? I think it's interconnected with the inner joy and guard your joy and taking care of yourself and so forth. And, you know, what my answer is today would have probably been very different than what my answer would have been when I was in college with you all. So I'm sharing with you from a place of having had to grow through that. And it's something that you don't ever stop growing. Probably one of the reasons why I like being in education, because you're always learning. But what I'll offer is it's understanding perspective and being able to see the bigger perspective. So it's looking outside of that failure, continuing, as Veronica says, looking at the goal, look out, look up, look forward, because perspective matters. And one of the things that Oprah Winfrey shared several years ago when she was on TV more often, she said, give something 3 minutes. I'll do it this way. Give something 3 minutes, right? Be mad at it, yell at it, whatever. Give it 3 minutes. And then after the 3 minutes, let it go and move on. Let it go and move on. And over the years, I've gotten down to 3 minutes, which is good, because that does take practice, because you're working through your identity. You're working through, you know, understanding who you are as a professional or as a mom or as a sister or as, you know, whatever it might be, a student employee. So just continuing to think that there's bigger perspective and that you have something to learn in the moment and you have an opportunity to apply what you learn to making the next informed decision for yourself as you move forward.
Cass, that is so, perspective is everything. It almost is exactly what I was going to say, which is life is what you believe. Literally, it is so much about what you believe. If you believe that you have failed, that's what you will continue to believe, and probably what you will continue to do. That you just bring that to yourself. I'm not sure I allow myself the perspective, as Cass said, to believe that I have failed. I don't allow setbacks or disappointments to stop me that much. Now, that's something I've had to work on for years to get to that point. But before I came to ASU, I was chancellor of the City Colleges of Chicago. But before that, I was an executive, a vice president at one of the largest utility companies in the nation. And so that draws me to a quote from Thomas Edison, who in his pursuit to invent the light bulb said, you know, I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways it didn't work. Literally, he tried that 10,000 times. And so that, but he believed, I didn't fail, it just didn't work that way. So I think the belief, the perspective that Cass was, that is so important. And how you live your life and how you will persevere in life.
I wanted to also build off a little bit on what Dean Aska mentioned about perspective. I mean, going right now in senior year of college, I've definitely failed a lot of different times on many different things. But I always sort of like reframed a failure as a learning experience for me, because no one is born perfect at everything. And I have to like sort of restructure my mind into like accepting that sometimes. And ever since I was a kid, I've always had this phrase that I've kept saying, like, keep the dream alive. And it's something I've held close to heart. It's definitely like every time I fail at something, I always tell myself, keep the dream alive, because one day I can maybe attain those dreams. And that's something that I want, a lot of people I've told that to. And, it's something that a lot of people I feel like should get to learning a little bit more too.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of this. I'm in a course right now, and this week it's on leadership. And this week we were discussing change. And a really important quote I heard this week was, people aren't actually afraid of change. They're afraid of the uncomfortable place in between, which I think is all of the failures that we're constantly encountering. But from my perspective, I think it's really important that most of the time failure is defined by yourself. Nobody else has told you that you failed. Unless it's like straight up a grade in class or something. So you need to be easier on yourself, and also evaluate why you think that's a failure, and why you think the goal is important to continue to pursue. So just getting used to the uncomfortable place of change is what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding everyone that sometimes rejection is just redirection and it's just about perspective. And to touch on that, I know, Dinaska, you mentioned sitting with what has happened and reflecting and growth. But what I wanted to ask you was, how did you learn how to sit through those moments, even when they're extremely uncomfortable or very challenging, or even so more challenging than you expected? And other panelists, feel free to share as well.
Jacqueline, thank you for asking that question. I think one of the things that we're experiencing in this space is being vulnerable. And in being vulnerable, I think that's where we grow and we learn. Now, I will share, you can't be vulnerable with everybody, because everybody's not valuing what you're trying to learn about yourself and how you're trying to develop. So, think critically about who you're being vulnerable with. But embedded in that, I think for me, I'm a big proponent of mentors and really being connected to individuals who have had some life experiences that they could kind of coach me in thinking through critically about some of the things that I may be experiencing. This is where your close friends come into play, and they play a critical role in helping you to be reflective. And you can't ask everybody the question of, hey, what do you think about what I did or what I didn't do, right? Everybody doesn't deserve that question of you. But there are few, and I'm a proponent of, there should be few that you could really have those poignant conversations with, and they're going to feed you in order to grow you, not to break you. Right? That saying about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true. Okay, that is not true, because words will hurt. And so really identifying those instrumental people who can positively speak into your life, because they want you to grow professionally, they want you to grow personally, they want you to grow in all of the ways that you want to grow for yourself, and trusting them in that journey. And so for me, it's mentors, it's close girlfriends, it's my partner, those individuals, family members that play a critical role in that space. And then journaling plays a critical role in being able to be reflective about what I've learned and what I'm trying to understand about myself. And here's the other thing, it takes time. This is not one journal entry. This is not one experience. If I had a whiteboard, I'd draw you a picture of a spiraling kind of staircase, and to let you know that the issues you face at the top of the staircase is the same at the bottom of the staircase. The difference is how much time you give it in your response to it. And that's because you've matured, you've grown, you've developed, and that's a journey that we're all on. So there are issues that, back in the day, it takes me no time to deal with now, but there are some new things now that I'm at the top of the staircase trying to make my way down. So it's a process, it's a journey. Look to it to enjoy it and to grow from it.
I mean, definitely. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Shalina. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say too, I've learned to be comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes, because I definitely have a very limited bubble. So the last few years, I feel like a lot more people should become self-starters if they really want to expand their horizons, see the different points of views from different communities outside of their own. And definitely just being open to expanding and changing your mind whenever you learn new information, that kind of, and especially in our spaces now with ASU being, looking into like who we include versus instead of who we exclude. It's in times like these specifically, especially with what's been happening recently, it's a good point, I think, to a little bit to like dip your toes into the water and figure out, like, find friends or mentors that will help you in your journey of learning more and you getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And with that, to follow up on this growth in perspective, what are ways that you guys have for intrinsic and extrinsic motivators to help you achieve your goals?
I think for me, intrinsic is my intuition. Like, it may sound very cliche, but trust your gut is very true. I rely a lot on my intuition in trying to do the right thing, even sometimes in the face of opposition. I'm just a big believer in that we have to learn to trust ourselves more and be guided by, quote unquote, the right thing. Extrinsic, I think, just a science part of me, I do a lot of analyzing, thinking, and research. I don't let myself be easily influenced by, we live in a world of social media. We live in a world, of, the internet and all this other accessible info. And I just think it's very important for every individual to do their own analyzing, their own researching, their own thinking. I'm constantly asking myself, what is it that I'm dealing with every day, and what are the consequences of my actions? So those are just some of the core things for me.
I think I'm intrinsically motivated by being happy with myself, being proud of the things that I do and being able to talk about them. So if I'm faced with a decision and it is something that I don't want to share with others, then it's probably something I shouldn't be doing, right? So that's my intrinsic motivation. And of course, thinking of ways to be better than I am right now, constant self-development and improvement. And as far as extrinsic motivation, they go hand in hand. I want to be an example for those that I love, for the people that have an influence in my life and on the world. I think the first thing I thought of was my nieces and nephews, of which I have a lot. And I want them to become certain people, and I need to set an example for them to be those people and to interact in this world in a positive way.
For me, I'm a huge proponent on lists. Like I know a few of my friends have probably seen like my calendar and even just the random list I would have for different things that I'd be doing throughout the week. And definitely my goal every day is to finish whatever I have on my daily list, and it always makes me feel a lot better. Intrinsically, I think what motivates me to achieve my goals, even in the long run, is being the best person I can be, and being the kind of role model that I would have want myself to have when I was younger. So that's definitely something I've always pushed for.
Yeah, for me, intrinsic is very interesting. I think it's hard to quantify what motivates you, but what doesn't motivate me is when I notice that I am continually putting something off that I'm involved in and I don't want to do it. It's a sign for me to cut it out of my life. So I think even though you can't quantify it, if you're not feeling passionate about it for a prolonged amount of time, maybe it doesn't need to be in your life anymore. Extrinsically, I like to call myself a type A appearing type B. I'm very casual about things, but I have big lists of everything and like calendars. So you would look at me and be like, wow, she's sticking to everything that's on there. But these things written down help me make sure I get them done, but I'm not putting too much pressure on it for myself.
I'm like Jacqueline. I think sometimes it's kind of difficult to kind of say specifically one or the other because they're so interconnected sometimes. I'll answer that question from the space that we're in now. I am so motivated to see our world be a better place. And I fully, wholeheartedly believe that you all as college students, our institution is a part of making, the world a better place. I am so invested in seeing you all be successful. And that looks so different for each and every one of you because you define success so differently. But I'm very motivated to keep working at things and, keep trying to think big about things because I believe that there's always more. I have a lot of hope for what, our world is and can be and will be. And I guess part of that is extrinsic from the perspective of, like I said, I have 2 young Sun Devils coming up, right? And so as always, as a parent, I want the world to be better for those coming up behind me. So whether that's my kids or you all as young people, colleagues, whatever that might be, I just want the world to continue to keep spinning. And as it's spinning, it's getting better and better and better.
Love the advice. We have another question for you where, speaking of advice, what advice would you give to individuals who are trying to find their own strength and confidence? We've got a diverse group of attendees here, from faculty to staff to students. And so we're all in very different places in our lives. So question goes to you, just what advice would you have to offer?
I think you have one chance in this life to be the best you can be. And I emphasize the word you. I think we live in a world where there's so many external influences. And I've recently had to have this conversation with my goddaughter where, you have to figure out who you are and be okay with that. Not try to be somebody else, someone else. It's okay to be motivated by others and encouraged by others, but only try to be yourself. You get one shot at that. And some people live a lifetime never knowing who they were because they were too busy trying to be something or someone else. And so be okay with that, be proud of that. And I would just say your strength and confidence comes from you being you. And so I think we live in a world where more people need to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say do things that scare you. For me personally, confidence didn't come very naturally or immediately. And I almost never ran for my position as student body president because I was terrified of the concept of running with 50,000 people seeing my name on a ballot. But the only thing scarier for me was not actually trying. So that's why the reward is so much better than the fear that you have. And once you do something once, you have the confidence to do it again and put yourself out there like that. Even like panels like this, the first one I ever did, I was terrified. I did it like 2 years ago, and now I'm able to speak at them with ease. So yeah, definitely do the scary things. You won't regret it.
Go ahead, Veronica.
Thank you. I would say celebrate small wins. So just making sure that when you accomplish something, you really just fully allow yourself to be proud of that. And then keeping in mind that perfection and failure are subjective, as we've already pointed out. And so just being the best version of yourself and not comparing yourself to others, not trying to measure up to what others expect of you, but just knowing that you're putting out the best that you possibly can.
The only thing that I would add is that, it's a process. right? And you may feel very confident in one area and not as confident in another area. And don't let that be a hang up to you. The areas that you're strong, keep pressing in. But I would say, don't stop pressing into the areas that you internally feel like you're not strong in. Keep pressing into those areas too. And I want to encourage, it is a process. It's not done overnight. It looks different for everybody. And however short or long that time is, doesn't determine anything. It's your journey. It's your process. Enjoy it and own it, and apply what it is that you need to apply to yourself as you grow.
I wanted also to touch on a little bit of what Jacqueline mentioned about being scared to do something, because sometimes the thing you're scared of the most is probably the thing you're supposed to be doing. And I've always thought of this is a quote from Robert Downey Jr. that I always think about all the time, is the power being the principle of moving forward. As though you could, the principle of moving forward as though you have the confidence to move forward, sort of like fake it till you make it. And, eventually one day you're going to have the confidence to look back and, you see what you've done because you've pushed yourself to do that thing. So I think that's definitely something that I've taken to heart, especially.
And with that, considering intersectional identities as well, how can women be heard and respected rather than ignored in male-dominated sectors? What are some advice or skills that you may have with this, or that you would recommend?
I would continue the narrative we're having. Is just keep pushing forward and keep doing the things that are scary to you, because you're not only proving to yourself as a woman what you're capable of, you're proving it to others. And the more people that continue to prove how capable women are, the better platform we have, and the more leadership and representation there is.
I would say, don't lose your voice. I don't care what environment you're in. I don't care what room you're in. You have a voice. You use that voice, whether you think it's being heard or not. You don't shy away from your thoughts, your feelings. And there's been a theme in what I've been saying, some of my comments, which is about being you. You be the title of this whole panel is confidence and strength. Know that you have that. And don't be afraid to allow that to guide you in any room and in any environment. Don't be afraid to be you. And always don't lose your voice. Use it. We have a seat at the table, even when we don't think we do. So I would just say your voice is a very powerful one. And it doesn't matter what your title is either. Your voice is not tied to your title.
To add to that, I would say don't be afraid to hype yourself up. Take credit when you deserve it, and ask for things that your male counterparts don't even think twice about asking for sometimes. So using that voice and making sure people know that you have it and you have things to offer.
I want to offer that, as we're talking about, use your voice. It's also okay to ask for help. And that's part of it. I think, I'm a Brene Brown fan, and she talks about being vulnerable. And in being vulnerable, that's actually empowering to self and to others. So be vulnerable in safe spaces, right? And don't be afraid to ask for help as you go through your process, as you go through your journey, because that's part of the confidence building too. There are things that we genuinely may not know, but that doesn't mean we don't know how to find out. And so let's think about all of the skills and all of the talents and all of the networking and knowledge that we have, that we bring to every space that we occupy, and use that to influence in ways that continue to make change happen for the betterment of all.
And off of that, definitely on the subject of intersectionality, most of us here are women of color. So that in itself, we're already into spaces that are often overlooked or underappreciated. And definitely having a seat at the table, being able to pull up another chair for someone else, and helping them, get their own voice out there is definitely something that I've had the privilege of doing sometimes with helping others, push them to do things that they wouldn't have done otherwise. And it's definitely something that I'm going to take on for a long time too.
Thank you. And do you?
Jacqueline, I love what Shalina just shared because that is so powerful. And just being able to uplift each other is so important. And there's affirmations in public that we want to be able to make and share. And it's so powerful and it's so important. And that doesn't mean we're perfect. That doesn't mean we're not working on things, but come on, there's so much that we're doing that's so powerful that yes, we got to say, you did it. And I see you and I hear you and I'm applauding you and I'm happy for you. So great statement.
Yeah,
Got me all excited.
I have to second that pull a chair up to the table for someone else. I'm getting that on a t-shirt. Like, we need to get t-shirts that say that. That is so incredibly important. It's not easy, or we wouldn't be having this discussion. And so to support each other, even when we may not agree with each other, is so incredibly important. So, and people in our environment need to see us that way as a group and as a team. So that was very powerful.
Yes, in terms of uplifting others, do you have any words of encouragement or advice for any Sun Devil in the audience, whether it's student, faculty, or staff, as we head into the final month of the semester?
So my advice would be simple, and that is work hard. And when that doesn't work, work harder. That's my advice. Hard work.
I'll offer celebrate self and celebrate each other. Uplift and celebrate, because there are things that nobody will know that you're experiencing, you're dealing with. Nobody knows what it took to get us to this Zoom meeting today. Nobody knows, but I think if we can celebrate ourselves and celebrate each other, that's going to help us stay encouraged no matter what's going on in our lives. So let's keep celebrating.
And I would say definitely find moments to slow down and appreciate everything that's going on around you and make sure that you're equipped to keep on moving forward.
I would say building off of that, don't forget to take time for yourself and socialize. I know, especially when you approach finals, that you think all of your focus needs to be on school, but you're not going to be in your best shape until you make sure that you have all aspects of your life in a good space.
Yes. In the midst of all that hard work, do everything they said.
I think my final advice would be really just learn to be kind to yourself, give yourself that grace, definitely. Like, everyone's going through something. So definitely just taking the time to, I know my friend Amber is like, don't think of it as self-care, just being kind to yourself in general would help.
Yes, thank you. All of this was so amazing. Like, this was such an empowering space to be in, surrounded by such incredible women. And Shalina, I'm going to think about what you said for a while. So thank you for sharing all of this with us. We want to thank each of you incredible women for joining us today and sharing your perspectives. Your passion, strength, and confidence has hopefully inspired anyone in the audience to persevere, not just for the rest of the semester, but moving forward as well, just in general life and what we're looking for.
Yes, and as we close, we have a few housekeeping items to share with you. Every person that attended today will be entered into a raffle, and 10 people will receive an M&G gift card. How exciting, we love M&G. Winners will be notified by email at the end of this week. This event is part of our VIP Student Success Series coaching workshops from the First Year Success Center. And we invite you to give us your feedback. Let us know what you liked, what could have been better. Please visit this Google form to share your feedback on today's event. We appreciate your input.
Again, we want to encourage you to continue the celebration of women at ASU and outside of ASU, but also by participating in other Women's History Month events that are happening across the university at all of our campus locations. We'll provide that link for you again so that you can see what remains for the final 2 weeks of March. Thank you. We also want to encourage all in our audience today to find more events like this and other opportunities to connect with the First Year Success Center. It's not too late to meet with your success coach, and our coaches would love to meet with you. You can find all our events online via Sun Devil Sync, get connected to our center and other students by visiting our Slack channel and digital coaching community. Visit our website to book an appointment and our other resources. And of course, follow us on social media to stay connected and updated.
And as a reminder, we want to extend our thank you to the panelists. It was very insightful. I feel empowered. I hope you guys feel empowered. And thank you all for attending. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.